University of Missouri St. Louis College of Education podcast. Hello and welcome. My name is David Stouffer and I get to be the recruitment coordinator for the UMSL College of Education. Each week on this podcast, we will meet an innovator in the field of education. We will spend some time getting to know them and learning about their work and how it can help you and yours. It is my sincere hope that this podcast will be a source of encouragement and support as you work to continue impacting lives as an educator. Hello and welcome to Triton Talk, the show about UMSL, by UMSL, and for UMSL. I'm your host, David Stouffer, and I get to be the recruitment coordinator for the College of Education here at UMSL. Here on Triton Talk, you'll hear from UMSL faculty, staff, and students. You'll get a chance to learn more about their role at UMSL and what they're doing to make our community better for everyone. My guests today are Dr. Julie Smith Sodey and Liah Kahn. Dr. Sodey is the Director of Teacher Education and Associate Teaching Professor for the UMSL College of Education. Liah Kahn is a junior in the College of Education studying Bachelor of Science in Education with elementary education emphasis in middle school science. Awesome. Liah is also president of the student organization UMSL eduCATE. Welcome, Dr. Sodey and Liah Kahn.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
You bet. My pleasure. I've been excited about this. This is our first episode of the fall semester, so welcome. No pressure. We need a great show for you guys, so the pressure is on. I want to start off just getting to know you guys a little bit and a little bit more about your background and your journey. So, Liah, would you start us off and just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you were doing before UMSL, and what you're doing at UMSL now?
Hi. I'm Liah. I'm from St. Louis. I went to Melville High School. I didn't always want to go into education. I wanted to do something in the sciences, but then I had this big breakdown, and I was like, okay, education is it. I couldn't envision myself anywhere except a classroom, and so education it was. And
how old were you when that happened?
This was 3 days before college applications opened. So it was a stressful 10 days. I chose UMSL because it was somewhat close. I have a really strong relationship with my family, and my brother is actually an UMSL alumni. He graduated from the Office of Inclusive Post-Secondary Education Succeed program.
Fantastic.
I love the work they do. I'm a super fan of them.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so I knew that UMSL and their education program really valued diverse learners and students with disabilities, and that is something I'm very passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a student. I'm studying middle school science, and I am the president of UMSL eduCATE.
Fantastic. So, thinking back to when you were in school, do you have, most people when they go into education, a large part of why they do that is because of someone that influenced them.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think back to someone in your experience as a K-12 student that had that kind of impact on you, that helped persuade you to become a teacher someday?
Yeah, There's two people that really influenced my dream of becoming an educator. My high school chemistry teacher, Miss Drew, she was fantastic, really down to earth, really cared about sharing her love of science. She didn't always want to be a teacher. She originally went into school for nursing, I think. And then eventually she went through these classes, hated chemistry, but then she found out, hey, I actually like doing this and I like helping other people learn this. And so her passion for science and passion for sharing the passion.
Mm-hmm.
Really,
Awesome.
yeah,
So
that
fed off of you, and now you have that passion yourself.
yeah,
Awesome.
and then
So why middle school?
so that brings me to the second teacher that really influenced my love of education. My middle school band director, Mrs. Brown. She's really awkward. As I think any good middle school teacher should be. The caring for middle school students, treating them like they're real people with real emotions, like going down on their level, making jokes that are funny to them, that inspired me. And I got so much from her as a teacher that I went back and volunteered with her every week, tutoring middle schoolers in the flute, and that really that's why I love the middle schoolers.
Wow, that's fantastic. Good luck. I was a middle school teacher for a long time. I loved that age group, but it takes a special person to fall in love with that age group. So I'm proud of you. We need great middle school teachers, so that's fantastic. Dr. Sodey,
Yes.
how did you wind up here at UMSL, and what do you do in the College of Ed now?
So I wound up at UMSL. I had spent just around 10 years, a little more than 10 years in the school district of University City as a classroom teacher and an instructional coach. And I just had kind of reached a point where I wanted to do something more, something with schools, but I wasn't quite sure what it was. And that was around the time that UMSL first started their Carnegie cohorts for their educational doctorate cohorts, and I came here for a meeting kind of on a whim with a coworker. I actually had never been on UMSL's campus prior to then. I had came to St. Louis in 2004 and just didn't know much about UMSL. I was kind of in my K-12 bubble for a long time. But I came here for the meeting, and the next semester started the educational doctoral cohort program, and because I was able to take a couple of years off from U City I was tenured, so I could do that without losing my position, and I became a graduate teaching assistant to pay for my doctoral degree, as I was still paying for my other degrees, and so I felt like this one, if I could get it financed, I was going to try to do that. And as part of that, so I started teaching college students like Liah, and you hear how fun Liah is and funny to talk to, and I just had no idea that I would enjoy teaching college students as much as I enjoyed teaching third graders or fourth graders. Like, it was a real shock to me to get here and to realize how much I love that. And I also just found out that teacher preparation was the thing that I was looking for. It's something more that I wanted to do for K-12 education, but outside of the traditional classroom teacher role. And so I've been here ever since. I've been full-time faculty. This is my 8th year. I am currently the Director of Teacher Education, which is a newer role for me, but does combine a lot of work that I've done for a few years in curricular and program support, so I'm super excited about that. And my interest really lies in kind of that early matriculation to the programs and support out in the schools, experiential learning for our students. So the classes that I get to teach are early in the program. That's how I met Liah. And all of the wonderful people who have grown eduCATE into the group that it is. I've met them all through those early courses. And then I also do a ton of work with clinical experience, both early clinical and supervision and support in the practicum as well. So, and I love it. It's like the perfect job. I get to work with junior teachers, people who are learning to be teachers, but I also get to spend a fair amount of time back in schools, which I love. It's always like super good for your spirit when you're a traditional educator.
Right,
yeah.
right.
So
fantastic. Congratulations on the promotion, by the way, the Director of Teacher Education. That's awesome to have you there.
Well, it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, let's dive in, Liah. Tell us a little bit about UMSL eduCATE. What is UMSL eduCATE, and how does it help our students in the College of Ed?
So UMSL eduCATE is a student organization. Its full legal name is UMSL Collegiate Association of Teachers and Educators. I inherited it, I think, in its 3rd year.
Yeah, you're the 3rd generation. Yeah.
And when I signed up to be president, I had no clue what I was getting myself into. I saw the email out on Triton Connect because I had joined the Triton Connect page and go, oh yeah, that sounds cool. I'll do that.
And then she became president.
And then like 3 weeks later, the president said, hey, we're all leaving for practicum and we need an entirely new officer team. So me, the treasurer for UMSL eduCATE, Kaylee, and the PR officer, Amore, we stepped in and just hit the ground running. We got the club to where it was a traditional UMSL student org format where there's like maximum 5 officers and you just put on events and cross your fingers and hope that people show up. We did a year of that it didn't work. So we thought about it and we decided to reconfigure the student organization to help build a community of education students which right now I don't think exists. A lot of education students are commuter students, transfer students who typically come to class and then go home. There's no reason for them to stick around on campus. So what we're really trying to do is build up that community by being around. We have being present. Yeah, we have events every other week. We have this big group chat to talk about, scary classes and experiences in the classroom. And I've found that really valuable so far. It's only week 3 and I feel like the club is stronger than ever because there are general members now, and those members can ask questions like, hey, where's this class?
Mm-hmm.
Who have you had this professor before? Are they chill? And especially with a lot of incoming freshmen in the College of Education, they're able to feel a little less scared because they know that somebody's on their side.
Another thing that I think, if I could just jump around a little bit, and Liah hasn't mentioned this yet, but she's very involved in res life also, in residence life, and that is a really great angle for this group, and I think is really helping them to grow that kind of community, campus-based mindset, which she's describing, which is definitely something we want to continue to see grow and build, and I think it has been a missing link for this particular organization.
Yeah,
so.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Moray and I are both RAs at Oak, and bringing in freshmen, getting them excited about education has been pretty valuable this year.
That's awesome.
I think for sure. And in terms of the history of eduCATE, it was born out of COVID, eduCATE. And so Liah and her group of leaders, Amore and Kaylee, are third generation leadership team for eduCATE. So it's really it's a very young organization, founded by Emily Eden, who's back on campus as a staff member now and continuing to be super excited to see the growth of eduCATE. But she really had the same kind of mindset. She was a commuter student and she had transferred in from another campus, and she was looking for a social club that was rooted in the College of Ed, like she had seen at her previous college. And so give her a lot of credit for growing it, but then give a ton of credit to the next generation, which included our friend Destiny, who has moved on to the world of professional employment, and now Liah and team for keeping this going and trying to grow and evolve the organization as much as possible.
It's been really fun to see that evolution and how it's grown, and the numbers increasing and the students participating increasing. Dr. Sodey, what is it that you do as a faculty member?
Well, I do very little, honestly. I'm the faculty advisor, which is required for a student organization. They have to have a faculty advisor on their team. I feel like I'm much more of a occasional advice giver and occasional connection with resources. But I'm not kidding when I say this is all student led. It's very grassroots. They're out doing the work. They're doing the digging. I hope they see me as approachable, and we do communicate on a regular basis, but they do all the work, and I just help them publicity to my classes. Like I said, sometimes there's things that students need a little help with in terms of accessing like space or communications, and so we can help nudge that a little bit. I give a ton of credit also to Karen Allman, who is our student support and retention coordinator in the College of Ed. Because Karen's position is technically staff, she can't be an advisor to this group, but that's not right. Because she's a tremendous support to this group. And as we all know, Karen connects with students all across the college, which makes her, I mean, she's provided both social club support to this group, but also emotional and retention support to the officers. I'm not pointing at Liah specifically, but she knows our students. Like, she knows our students, she knows our student leaders, she knows our group members, and so big props to Karen, because she has done a lot to support them in the College of Ed as well.
Here. Well, that's awesome. Karen helped put together our welcome bash that we had last week. And we had some good attendance there, even a trumpet solo. That was
that
awesome.
was very cool.
An impromptu special trumpet Miles Davis performance, which was awesome. So hopefully we'll get to see a lot more events like that. So Dr. Sodey, one of the other roles that you fulfill, in addition to the many others, is our ACP coordinator. So you work with schools all around the area that can provide education level courses that they can get college credit from UMSL for participating in. Talk a little bit about that. How does that work, and what advantage does it have for students that are wanting to try to become educators someday?
Yeah, so a lot of people are familiar with college credit or advanced credit because they took advantage of those courses when they were in high school. My angle is very targeted, however, because we offer only 3 classes for credit through the College of Education, and all 3 of those classes are classes that are required for teacher certification. And so we love that angle for high school students that we're working with that are considering teaching as a profession, because it gives them a very early kind of glimpse. They're taking the same classes that our students would take on campus. They take them at their high schools with a high school teacher. But they get to kind of do some early career consideration, if you will, and to really think about if that's a pathway they might want to pursue. And we have some really wonderful high school partners all across the area, some very near campus, some as far west as Troy. We work with high schools all around the St. Louis region and just outside of it. And it's a lot of fun. We you, David, you hosted Educators Rising here on campus last semester, which represented a huge number of our high school partners that we work with. As people may or may not know, if you're not in the education field, there is a significant teacher shortage happening. And so a lot of our district and school partners are really looking to their own high school students to recruit as future teachers. And we see ourselves as a critical partner in that work. And so it's a lot of fun going out to the high schools and talking to those students. Really amazing educators at that level that are doing their best to help their young students think about the positives of a career in school. So,
how many high schools do we partner with right now?
Oh boy, so I know I personally have about 15 teachers that I work with, and I think those are all, a couple of them might be doubled up, so we might be at about 12 or 13 high schools in general, but that number also fluctuates from year to year. So some high schools don't offer classes every year, every semester, but then we'll pick them back up the next year. Yeah.
And then we offer child development.
Yeah, we offer an ed psych class called Adolescent and Child and Adolescent Development, and that class is a requirement for teachers, but it also fulfills a gen ed requirement. So that's a pretty popular class. We'll have a lot of high school students that take that for college credit, and then they may or may not decide to go forward with the other teacher education courses, but if they enjoyed child development and they enjoyed that experience, then the next logical step is for them to take a 2-class combo, and it's an Ed Foundations course, and also it's the equivalent to our early clinical experience course. And those programs are pretty cool because those students in high schools that take those classes, they get to go back and work with elementary schools and middle schools in their district and do some clinical hours in those classrooms with teachers. So I think that's pretty cool. And also I do want to point out, one of my favorite child development classes that we work with is at Pattonville High School, which is a real nearby neighbor of us. And Pattonville High School runs a preschool, basically they call it the play school. They run it on Tuesday and Thursday mornings at the high school for students in the Pattonville community. 3 and 4-year-olds, families can register for that, it's a free program. and they get to come to the high school and do play school. And the child development students get to help create lesson plans and work with those students for that class, which is, frankly, it's a better offering than what we have on campus. It sounds like a much cooler way to take child development, in my opinion. And I've been there. I always try to go and observe that high school on play school days because it's just super entertaining and fun. So
I know a lot of high schools that do that. My old stomping grounds, Howell Central, does that as well.
Yeah. And also one of our ACP partners.
Yes, one of our ACP partners. Yes, shout out to Howell Central.
Yeah.
Now, do the majority of students that take these ACP classes take advantage of the college credit for those classes, or is it not necessarily?
I would say not necessarily, and of course other universities offer college credit as well at multiple high schools, so maybe they would take it with UMSL, they might take it with another university. We definitely have seen an increase in students that are taking those classes for credit with UMSL, and I give you a lot of credit for that, David, for being out there and getting word out about our programs. We do offer a large number of certification programs, including, for example, we're the only, if you want to teach secondary Spanish or French, we're the only program in the area that can help you do that. And so there are some niche areas that we attract students for. We also have a really interesting elementary program where students are doing dual certification in either elementary and special education, or elementary and TESOL, which are both very high in demand. And so I think that makes our elementary program especially attractive to people. So I think numbers are increasing, and we're actually super excited this year as part of the teacher recruitment efforts in the state of Missouri. We are able to offer some scholarships to our local high school students to take our courses for credit. So we're really excited to go out and be recruiting and offering those scholarships to students this year as well.
Yeah, we just got that announcement the other day, and we've been talking about how to distribute those scholarships. So if you are an ACP education student in one of the schools that UMSL offers the credit for, we'll be getting information out about scholarships available to pay the tuition costs for you to get the ACP credit. So stay tuned for that.
Very exciting.
If you are a teacher or administrator in a school district that we currently don't partner with and does not offer any ACP education courses and would like to, what would they need to do in order to get into our program?
Just reach out. The UMSL ACP website is very easy to find, and you can submit an inquiry there. And basically your information would get forwarded to me, and I would reach out to you and help get that organized. And then also, of course, David often gets connected with high schools, and he'll either share that information with me, and it's actually a very easy process. And what you will find is most of our local high schools offer UMSL ACP credit in some form already. So they might have math credit, they might have science credit, but maybe they just don't offer the education courses yet. And it's a very easy move to get that going, because these aren't tied to a specific content area, for example. So you don't have to be, you have to have a master's in education, and you have to have experience in the profession to lead like an Ed Foundations class or our early clinical course, but it's not the same as offering college calculus, for example. You'd have to have a very different certification. So it's usually very easy for us to find teaching partners in the high schools that are qualified to teach our education courses.
A lot to consider. Liah, tell me a little bit more, if you wouldn't mind. You might get a student that comes in for a campus visit and is thinking about becoming a teacher someday, but just not sure. What would you say to someone like that about what the benefits would be about becoming a teacher, and then also what would you say to someone about coming to UMSL?
That's a difficult question. I won't lie to you. And I've been thinking about it for a minute. The teacher profession, scary. The news surrounding it, the politicization of the education field right now, scary. So I understand if they're scared. I'm a little scared about going into the classroom because of the current political climate surrounding education. It'll be okay.
I don't mean to cut you off, Liah, but I think this is super important, and this is actually one of the topics that I really try to explore early on with my students in the program, is to teaching is like any profession in that, you know, there's things that you're going to love about it and there's going to be challenges about it. Leah's exactly right. That teaching, everybody has opinions about teachers. Like whether you know anything about teaching or schools, a lot of people hold opinions. And one of the things we talk about in Ed Foundations specifically, in that course on campus when we talk about it, is, you know, I always say to them, you don't have to consider yourself a political person or an activist. Like I'm not encouraging you to do that in any way, shape, or form, but I am encouraging you to become informed about those issues and how they surround and impact educators, because whether you choose to be actively involved with that or not, it's going to have an impact on you in some way, either directly or indirectly. You're going to feel it at some point in your career. I also think it's super important to recognize that even in states where politically you may not feel like you are well aligned, remember that there are probably also students and families that are not well aligned. And I also like to point out that there are so many different kinds of schools. Even within the same district, you can have schools that carry such different personalities and cultures and belief systems. And I think it's just really important for future teachers and current teachers to think about that and where they end up teaching and the job they accept. And is it somewhere where they feel they can be themselves and do their job well and feel welcomed and appreciated. And, you know, there was a time when we would have said, you don't get to choose your first teaching job. You get the job you get, and then you try to leverage yourself. And the good news with the teaching shortage is that is shifting a little bit.
Right.
And even our newest, youngest teachers are able to make some choices for themselves in terms of finding a place that's a good fit for them. So I appreciate you saying that, Leah. I think it's a brave thing to say.
Yes.
And it can be very hard to talk about. I will go on record as a professor in this program who has been here for 8 years now, teaching students for a little bit longer than that. I am really proud of the diverse representation that we have come through our teacher education program. And I would like to think, we don't do things perfectly, but I do think that it's a place where we can support all of our students and help them on this journey. Because you're right, Leah, it's not hard. I mean, school shooting again yesterday, election coming. Like there's all kinds of gloom and doom things that come down on us. But there's also the amazing parts. Like I got to spend all last Thursday in schools, and it just did my heart like so good to be in a school and to be with students and to see happy teachers working. And so you gotta look for the sunshine, but it is tough. One of the things I always ask my students is, how many of you have family members or friends who have tried to talk you out of becoming a teacher? And it's usually like 100%
Every one of them.
Yep. And I was about to make that point. And I had those family members. My mom still, I bet there's a text waiting for me in my text messages saying, here, you shouldn't be a teacher because of X, Y, Z. I have found that I am happiest when I'm in a room full of middle schoolers. I'm happiest when I'm in a school. And the more I'm in these schools, the more I'm around teachers in education areas, the happier I am. And I can't envision myself doing anything else.
Yes.
So my advice for somebody considering being a teacher and seeing all of these really scary things, you need to do what makes you happy. You need to, if this is what your heart is telling you to do it. Be aware of the risks, but, you know.
Yeah. I know that a lot of reasons high school students, and I was one of them, chose not to be teachers is because of what they see their teachers going through. Especially recovering from the pandemic that I hope is starting to level out now. But for the last couple of years, it's just been a miserable experience for many. Just in the amount of work and the trying to educate in the classroom and remotely and COVID restrictions and everything has just been awful. I was talked out of being a teacher by my high school rugby coach, and he was a PE teacher, and he told me never to be a teacher. It was the worst decision he ever made, was being a teacher. And so it took me about 10 years of graduating with a different degree and then coming back to get a degree and becoming a teacher. So what you just said is the best advice. Listen to your heart and let that guide you. Take advice, but listen to your heart. And I can attest I can be one of those people that can stand here today and said being a teacher was the best decision I ever made. I just wish I would have made that decision back when I was 18 years old and not 28 years old. So, well, guys, thank you very much. This has been fantastic. I could talk to you guys for another half hour, and I know you got other things that you need to be doing right now, like studying and teaching and grading and everything else. So I want to leave it to you guys. If there's anything else you want to share about anything we talked about or anything we haven't talked about, give you the mic for about one more minute, and then we'll wrap it up.
I think I would say come over to South Campus and see us at the College of Ed. We're there a little bit longer. We'd love to have you. eduCATE hosts a lot of great events on a regular basis. And so we'd just love to see you and have a great fall.
Leah?
Education majors, please join our group me. We're cool. We don't fight. I promise. We do a lot of cool things. We're really trying to make a community where you want to be there. You want to be around us. So
awesome. Well, thank you guys. This has been fantastic. Appreciate you being here, and look forward to seeing all the great things that are going to happen on the South Campus and then someday on the North Campus, right, Dr. Sodey?
That's right. It's going to happen. I feel
All right.
It's got to happen.
I am honored that you chose to join me today for the University of Missouri St. Louis College of Education podcast. I hope you'll join me next time. Till then, I'm David Stouffer. Thank you for the work you do. Never forget, you are making a difference every day.